And we're live. Welcome back to the Manor Entropians. Julian McBain here. And we're going to get into a second attempt at Summer Mayhem. Yeah, I'm actually going for a second attempt. So let's take a look at how I did the last time. And I want to see if we can't do just a little bit better. But before we get started, if you're new to the channel, welcome to the Manor. Make sure you take a moment and subscribe down below. We are on the road to 13 million subscribers, one subscription at a time, so make sure you subscribe. Okay. Oh, also, make sure you go to patreon.com/JulianMcBain if you'd like to support my work. You will get the ebook, The Modern Entropian, if you become a member. So, here I am. 28th place, 4,359 points. Not bad. Not great, but not bad. I believe I've had a Mayhem where I did substantially better, so I think I'm going to try again. So here we go. Thank you, Alex. Turn my volume a little bit. Alright. We are going to drop Panda. And pop a couple pills. Because you should always do Mayhem dosed up to the eyeballs on Entropian drugs. You know, I kind of skipped out on Easter Mayhem, and now I'm kind of regretting it, but I needed the break. But I'm really enjoying Summer Mayhem. I like Mayhem. The only thing I like better than Mayhem is Migration. And even last year, I couldn't get into Migration very well, and I don't know why. Maybe it's just a state of mind thing. Thanks, Alice. Hopefully, Ludius will be with us tonight. Ludius must be with us if we are going to get the globals. I did pretty good in the first run. Plenty of globals. Not so many points, but plenty of globals. You can see my last live stream was from Summer Mayhem, and I've got one or two other videos that are in Summer Mayhem. So I'm actually very happy with the results of my first run when it comes to loot. But I'd like to try for, you know, actually placing. You know, my level is 43. I am horrendously close to having to move up into category 4. And so if I'm going to make it, now's the time I'm going to make it. So, I see there are 6 of you in here, so I'm going to ask that you take a moment and smash the like button. And then let me know, do all of you participate in Summer Mayhem? Those of you who play Entropia? Judging by the size of the scoreboard, it seems to be that it's fairly niche. Oh, hey, Bayrock, thanks a lot. No, I got, what did I say? It was 26th place the first time? Can't remember my own score. How sad is that? 28th. I was close. 28th. You know, if I could make 10th, I'd be tickled pink. But even then, if I got close, like 15th, you know, you don't get anything out of 15th, but it still shows that I'm that much closer. Now, unlike a lot of EU, I mean, you got the global system, which is kind of casino-like, but the point system in Mayhem is definitely much more random. Which I think it should be less so. They really should make it so that, you know, every mob gives at least 1 point. I think that would make it a lot better. And I think at higher levels they do. But Bayrock, are you talking about the pet exploit that they discovered? Yeah, Alex, if you're only a month and a half in, a level 7 is going to be really stupid tough. I'd recommend fight the Cods at Icarus or the Dikaba that are just behind the Cod Adergis. Or go out to Orthos Oil Field and fight the drones there. That's a really good way to get your skills up. Make sure you do the quests given out by Alex Buchan. You get a good weapon called Buchan's Spare Rifle. I still use it frequently for low-level hunting. Seriously. Get those skills up. Take the time, grind it out right, and you can't go wrong. Another place that you can hunt if you are newer, once you get Buchan's Spare Rifle, it's a little tougher, but where is it? Here. At the Corinth East Hangars. If you go south of here, there's Berrycled, and then there is a outpost. Levis Outpost is down here. There's an event that goes on there that gives you a buff if you pass it, and you hunt the level 3 Berrycled. They're tougher than the things around Icarus. I did a lot of hunting out there. Hunting out there, but it's a good place to really get used to the tougher hunts and the technique. I can definitely arrange for more newbie vids, Alex. It's gonna I gotta get through the migration period, and but it's definitely in the cards. I've got to get back used to Entropia Universe. I took a break for like 2 months where I barely played at all. So now I gotta remember how to play at the level I'm supposed to be at, and then I can go back and do newbie videos and actually be effective at it. That's fair, Bayrock. Although I have to say, I think they tweaked the loot algorithm just a little bit for this. My loots have me doing pretty well. I mean, I wouldn't say that they're... I would stop short of saying I'm making a profit, but I'm pretty sure I'm breaking roughly even. Alex, what? Are you talking 20 US dollars or 20 PED? What are you using for equipment? Are you playing like long stretches or... Because, yeah, 20 USD per hunt is a lot of money. You shouldn't... If you've only been playing for a month and a half, you shouldn't be able to play at that level unless you're playing, like, all day. Hey, Kat. Good to see you. Like, I don't burn 20 USD a hunt. Not even close. I don't burn 20 USD a hunt playing Mayhem. Okay, here's what I want you to do, Alex. The next time you're in, if you're not currently playing on a different screen, I want you to open up your weapons. Right? It's like, I've been playing for 2.5 years and I'm only at level 4. I want you to look at what this says. And if it doesn't match this side over here, the chip is too high a level for you. Yes, James, you nailed it right on the head. And Mind Force is a lot more subjective for the type of Mind Force you need to use amongst mobs, rather than just shooting them with a gun or hitting them with a sword. Some mobs are going to be more susceptible to corrosion, others are going to be more susceptible to fire. Fire is... I've had a lot of good luck with combustive, but honestly, you should be starting with... If you're seriously only 1 month in, there's no way in hell that you're ready for a level 6 chip. Pick up a level 1, hunt low-level mobs. You're not going to be burning all your cash, because what you're losing is efficiency. You've got no efficiency. You're burning through all of your money because you don't have the skills you need to effectively use the chip. It's like, for those of you who are new to my channel, I am a fencer. And it would be like me picking up a sword that I am not used to using and attempting to fight at the highest level. It just doesn't make sense. You have to practice with it. You have to get used to it. You have to understand it and get a feel for it and increase that efficiency with it so that you can actually fight with it. Bayrock, aren't you actually an Uber in disguise? I mean, Ubers do burn $20 at a stretch. But they're also cycling through like thousands of ped a hunt. And most of them live off their deeds. But yeah, no, eco is definitely a thing that exists, and I don't preach eco, because I think that the more you strive for eco, the further away you get from it, but there is a such thing as going too far in the other direction, by a long shot. Cycling is definitely important. Cycling your ammo. What are you doing, Alex? Are you just selling your... Are you selling your shrapnel? Because you get the 1% boost if you convert it to universal ammo. I mean, there are cases where you want to sell shrapnel. They aren't super common. They do exist, but they aren't super common. But, I mean... So yeah, for anyone who's newer to Entropia Universe, let's take a look at my weapon here. And it's similar for Mind Force. This right here is the most important number in the game when it comes to eco. Nothing else matters. Well, not nothing else, but almost nothing else matters. That's how efficiently you create damage. The higher that number is, the more likely you are to break even on your loot when you collect off of a mob you drop. Usually you need an amp to get it above like 55-57%. I think some really high level weapons have it there naturally, but you're talking a weapon where you're spending over 100 ped just to buy the weapon. So there's a definite trade-off. The next one is this set of numbers right here, damage interval. Damage interval on the left is the actual damage you can cause with this weapon. As you can see, I'm doing 52.5 to 105. This number here is the maximum the weapon does with what the weapon should be doing when you have it maxed out. There is a period of time when the amount of damage you can do can be lower than the amount of damage the weapon should be doing, and it's okay. And the reason for that is the skill increase bonus period, learning period. You see, I'm getting additional skill increase when I'm using a tool that's I'm not quite at level. If you're too low, you don't get the bonus. But if you're in that sweet spot, the money you're sacrificing in raw loot comes back to you in skills. I'm going to say that again. The money you're sacrificing in raw loot comes back to you as skills. When it comes back to you as skills, you're more efficiently leveling. So you're trading loots for skill points, which will make it so you can get to that next level faster. Some people don't like doing that. They prefer to max out a weapon before they get to it so they get the maximum loot and total efficiency in their opinion. You know what? That's their style. I think that overall you end up spending less doing it this way as long as you're close. Like if you're using your progress bars and your progress for the weapon is between 80 and 85, then your efficiency is high enough to justify using it in this way. Alex, are you sure you've only been playing a month and a half? Are you trolling me? No, wait, that can't be a level 6. Is it a level 6? Are you sure that's a level 6? Oh. Check to make sure your amp isn't over level either. The total amount of damage the amp adds to it should be no more than half of the highest number on the weapon. I'll have to check out corrosive chips, because that's very surprising to me. I believe you. I'm not throwing shade. You know, seriously, I'm not trying to throw shade. I'm just trying to figure out why you're burning through so much ped if you are capable of using a weapon of that level. It should be far more efficient than that. So I apologize. I'm very much in shock that that is the case. Okay. No, I mean, your equipment seems really good. So I'm not going to cast shade at that at all. That's actually something I need to do, is look into an amp for my my Mind Force chips. Because I'm kind of moving into them and moving away from the laser rifles. Although I have noticed that if you're playing multiplayer, not multiplayer, it's an MMO, wow. If you're teamed up, you need to have a ranged weapon. Like, I am a melee player. I'm almost exclusively melee. I mostly use ranged in order to pull, but that really doesn't work on a team environment. Okay, Alex, that's fair. And yeah, Bayrock, I've actually really come to enjoy the pyro chips. I'd like to get into cryo. I think that I think I'm missing some opportunity there. But I have nothing bad to say about pyrokinetic chips. I noticed cryogenic chips seem to be a lot more uncommon. Maybe it's just that people like fire. Even the lightning ones aren't all that common. The electro attack nanochips. So I see I still have my kinetic attack, my level 2 kinetic attack nanochip. It's basically a Kamehameha from Dragon Ball Z. Except it doesn't take 7 episodes to get off the move. I have to admit, that would be both hilarious and annoying in equal measure. You know, you let off this, like, Hadoken, but it takes 7 minutes to charge. Be down in Hades time, and... But, you know, you gotta take the whole, like Dragon Ball Z logic to go with it, so once you start charging up, all the mobs just stand there patiently waiting for you. Which is, of course, something I never understood. It's like, why are they just standing there? He's standing there shouting like an idiot. There was a manga that was actually American made, where a character started to riff off of Dragon Ball Z, and he was an elf fighting goblins because fantasy settings are a thing. And he starts pulling out the Kamehameha, and the goblins all are kind of looking at each other, and they shrug, and they just start beating the shit out of him. And the person he's trying to protect, who's like a sorceress who's lost her powers because she's out of magic for the day or something. She's like, yeah, that move did always take too long to pull off. And I'm like, oh my god. Thank you for sticking around after that part of the conversation. I swear that is the nerdiest thing I'll talk about all night. Whoops. So yeah, best of luck to you, Alex. I really hope that you're able to get better returns for the amount of money you're dumping in. I do know that I went through a period where I was hunting and it was costing me more than it should have, so I don't know the reason it's costing you so much. That might just be a function of the corrosive chips, but best of luck to you out there, man. I will say this, if you ever decide to get into melee, never, ever, ever use a Killian sword. Ever. Ever. They're literally money sinks. Come on. Yes. Use the TT sword until you can use the R Matrix LB10. And you're good to go. You see, I used to have a serious problem with the idea that a sword could use ammo. because I actually use swords. I teach people how to use swords. So the idea that a sword would use ammunition was completely antithetical to my mindset. Because I couldn't get through the fact that this is a video game and the purpose of the ammo is to reduce wear and tear on the sword, not to make it a gun blade or something like that. But once I started using the R Matrix series, my efficiency went through the roof. Hi, Addy. Welcome to the manor. Yeah, if you do melee, your HP is going to go up a lot faster. I'm not saying it's gonna go up fast, because it ain't. But it's a lot faster than if you're using any other method. One part is because of the skills you're dealing with, and the other part is because you are... I mean, you can't fight them unless they can hit you too. So, like... As you can see, my total skill points are 112. My highest profession rank is 43. And my health is 153, unmodified. I'm also carrying an angelic ring adjusted, which gives me plus 30% regen and plus 12 health points. Because I like playing a tanky character. I'm big into tanky characters. I played a tank in WoW. And so I've done my best to kind of build as close to a tank as possible in this game. Is it perfect? No. Never will be. Doesn't have to be. Part of my problem is I don't go after the higher level armor. Like, at this point, I could do some serious hunting with Perseus armor, but I don't want to dump the pet into it. Like, if I were to go through the expense of picking up some good limited armors, then I could hunt at such a much higher level because I could just soak damage like there's no tomorrow. But if I do that, then eventually that armor's going to run out, and I'm going to have to buy all new armor, which is fine because I do the same thing with my weapons. But as an example, I think Perseus armor, you're going to drop like $200 or $300 US on one set. It'll last you a year or two, but still, that's a lot of money, and I don't want to drop that on one set on a set of armor. Kind of like getting an apartment in this game. I would love nothing more than to get my first apartment. I can't justify it. Like, I really want one of the apartments on Monria. I can't praise Monria enough. I love the place. You know, Monria and Cyrene are my two favorite places in Entropia universe. I don't get there enough. But, like, Cyrene doesn't have any living spaces. And Monria's go for top dollar because they're huge. A Monria apartment is bigger than the largest apartments on Calypso. And if you get the penthouse apartments, they have a private swimming pool. And I think they're all owned by the developers, so those might not even be something you can buy. And I'm sure DME will correct me if I'm wrong on that one. I do know that several of them are owned by developers. But, oh... the last time I saw one for sale was 2,500 PED. That's $250 US. That's a lot for a digital apartment. Yeah, Alex, I ran into that problem. I was actually on Arcadia, and I was hunting with Serial Overdrive, and I realized that trying to be melee in a team does not work. I mean, it can, but it's super stupid tough. And especially if you have to kite the mob around between different players. So if I'm in a group, I just stick to range. I got my laser rifle skill high enough to where I can be effective at somewhere close to my normal hunting level. I mean, obviously, I'm still not as efficient with that as I am with my sword, but it's a reasonable. It's reasonably close, and I have an amp for the gun now, so that works out too. I've heard Gremlin's really good too. I'm trying to remember. Gremlin's a bit pricier, but is it better than Ghost overall, or is it more specialized than Ghost? Bayrock. Yeah, Alex. So Monria is smaller, much smaller. It's a moon. There are only 4 primary mobs on Monria. They've got boss mobs and things like that, and they've got higher level versions of mobs, kind of Diablo style. But the community there is amazing. The developers are engaged. They talk with you. They participate. And their community manager is phenomenal. And I'm not just saying that because she follows my channel. I'm serious. You'd be hard-pressed to find a better development team in Entropia universe or anywhere. Alex, if you want EU Diablo version, the closest you can get is definitely Monria. I mean, there's a dungeon to grind out, or a dungeon to crawl. All the mobs are dark horror, fantasy, Call of Cthulhu level stuff. You need to go to Monria, man. Go to Monria and just try it out. You will not be disappointed. I spent something like the entire first quarter of the year there, and I was sad to leave. If it weren't for the fact that I needed to utilize the codex system to really focus on a few things I need to improve on, I'd probably be I'd be here for Mayhem, but I'd probably be spending most of my time on Monria. Gremlin has the acid. Yes, acid is a huge thing on Monria, and I have noticed my ghost is less effective against the, especially the shubs. Don't they have like massive amounts of acid? Yeah, I've got to admit, Bayrock, I have to agree with you. Monria is now my favorite community, and I hate to... I don't know how to put this right. Like, Cyrene was for a long time, and I still love the community on Cyrene. The developers are just as engaged as the group on Monria, or at least close enough to be hard to tell the difference. But Monria, they just take the cake. You know, Alex, it can be a little bit intimidating at first, but once you start, I mean, you acclimate really quickly, because it's the same platform. It's like going to the next stage in an older video game. Or, you know, we mentioned Diablo. It's like going from Tristram to, what was it? The desert, in Diablo to the desert area. You know, it's the same game. You're just facing different mobs. And if you're going to go to another location, going to Monria is honestly the best choice you can make. The best part about Monria is, and I did not know this until the last time I went, if you're willing to spend the 7 ped, you can teleport directly there from Calypso. 7 ped cost. You got to decide whether you want to actually cough up that much ped. But from what I understand, you can directly teleport from Calypso to Monterey. Now, I don't know if you have to teleport up to the station and do it that way, or if you can go like point to point, planet to planet. But you can, because Monterey is a moon, not a planet. You got to be willing to cough up the dough. Or you can jump in a quad wing, or if you're really brave, a Sleipnir, here because they're slower than, they're just slow. Take an irregular route toward it so you don't become pirate food, and just fly there. So the auction houses do work across planets, but if you buy, like when you open Monria's auction house, you're going to see only stuff that's for sale on Monria. You can use a drop down to switch to other planets. If you find something you want to buy on other planets, you're going to be given a choice. If you need immediate delivery, it's going to cost you 6 additional ped for immediate delivery. Otherwise, if you're willing to wait 12 hours, it's only going to cost you 2 ped for the convenience. I have found that unless I go back for a massive supply run on most planets, it costs me less to have them do the 12-hour delivery than it does for me to fly my ass back to Calypso for weapons, because of the fuel I burn. And there's a huge amount of time it takes, especially like when I'm on Cyrene, I'll load up, and I'll be on Cyrene for a couple of weeks before I have to go back for supplies. And that kind of makes it worth it. But I have found, and I found this out the hard way, I tried doing the fly back and forth. You burn 2 hours in space, and it burns a whole bunch of fuel. And you could have just spent 2 ped to get it there, and you're not burning the time. And you're going to burn about 2 to 3 ped in fuel going back and forth. So why? Why would you want to? Just have them deliver it. Or, if you're going to go, if you're going to do the whole commute thing, when you fly back, buy like a couple hundred ped worth of weapons. Especially if you're doing limiteds. And then just be prepared for that expense. And then you won't have to worry about it for a while, and then you make supply runs. Just as if you were going to an outer colony or some shit like that. Do the Yogs deal that much acid? I never actually paid that much attention, although that would make a bit of sense. And I hate to say it, but Ghost is really not set up for fighting acid. Yeah, not at all. 1 point. I mean, if you're fighting the lower level ones, the amount of acid damage they do is relatively low. And I've got the amp that gives me lifesteal. And I think that's why I kind of counteract that. But if that's the case, I'd almost think about going up against the Yogg that I normally go toe-to-toe with and see what it's like if I'm going without armor and see if it's actually more efficient. Because if most of their damage is acid, and I'm wearing armor that doesn't absorb acid damage, why am I burning the ped in decay toward the armor? It doesn't make sense. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, taming is something I actually need to do take more time doing. I haven't spent the time, and a Yogg horror is definitely something I'd like to take the time to get. Which is ironic because, you know, Compet's dead and the pet buffs are not huge. But I think if we're patient, Mindark is going to do more with the pets if we give them the time. Or maybe one of the planet partners will come out with something to where pets are actually more useful. Like Monria had the mining buff on the Yogg that ended up being a huge exploit on reload for people in Mayhem. Which Mindark, when they finally figured it out, only took them how many years? Not only did they work with Monterey to fix the exploit, they wiped all, they reset all the scores of people who used the exploit, which in my opinion is justified. If you find an exploit like that, the onus is on you to report it. It's a bug, and the only way the game gets better and is more fair is if you report shit like that. I mean, there is a part of me, the goblin part of me, the World of Warcraft goblin part of me, the Ferengi, that says use every exploit you can, because that's the only way you get the advantage. But at the same time, it's a fucking game, okay? We're not playing Dabo. And yeah, there's real money involved, which means there's real consequences. But at the same time, the consequence for them was they lost all their score, which means they lost all the money they dumped in to get that score. So realistically, where do they wind up? They lost. Whereas they could have been the hero by reporting it. Instead, they were the asshole for exploiting it. Oh, wow. I didn't know the Oraton Axes had the auto-loot ability. Oh. You can't tame it. It was a prize. Okay. Isn't there another pet that got the auto loot ability? Because I know that this pet had it for the Lara had it for a bit, and then they nerfed it because it wasn't supposed to have it. But I thought there was another pet you could find, and maybe it was that pet that I'm thinking of. That had that auto loot ability. Which is, it's pretty awesome. Because that means you can auto loot without auto loot pills. You just gotta feed it. And I think in the long run you'll end up spending less money on Nutrio bars than you will on auto loot pills if you're dedicated to auto loot. Which I hate to admit this, I really do. Once you're used to auto loot, it's really stupid hard to give up. Like, once I'm out of auto loot pills, I'm probably going to start buying them, and I'm kind of ashamed to admit that. I am. But I got those, like, 3 or 4 3-day duration ones. And once you get used to it for that length of time, like, we're not talking 3 days IRL, we're talking 3 days of gameplay. And when you're playing for 2 to 3 hours at a time, and you're taking breaks, you're talking weeks to months of gameplay where it's all auto loot all the time. Yeah, I got nothing. Oh, that's right. The Golden Leprechaun has it. And Sophie has it too. Okay. I knew that it was a stupid rare ability, which it should be. It's a fairly powerful ability. Don't get me wrong. And it should be rare. But I couldn't remember the pets that had it. Scotty, good to see you. Welcome to the manor. It's been a while, man. How's you doing? How's it going? It's got to be fairly early where you're at in Oz, isn't it? Yeah, you nailed it on the head, Bayrock. Absolutely. Here we go, boss fight. Make sure we're being efficient about our time here. Come on. Gotta get him near the teleporter. Close enough. Burn him down. That's fair, Bayrock. Okay. My one complaint about Mayhem, it doesn't show you your score when progression is paused. That's kind of irritating. And by kind of, I mean very. So I have learned the hard way that you always want to repair between hours, because your efficiency actually goes down if you're not fully repaired. 65-16. So for those of you who are new to my channel, I actually meticulously keep track of every ped I spend and earn on a Google Sheets. So that's good for there. Move that over. Convert. There we go. We're gonna get out of here because I have noticed if you leave the instance and you're inside here, yeah, forget it. It's gonna take you so long to load in, it's dumb. So, okay, here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna take like a $5. Well, hopefully you stick around, because I'm going to take a $5 and I'm going to come back. We're going to do another hour of Mayhem, or another round of Mayhem. Oh, and it's 11:15. Oh, I guess that makes sense, yeah. For some reason, I thought you were a solid 12 away from me, so. Overall average, no, Bayrock. I just keep track of the raw numbers. So, okay, I will be back in like less than 5 minutes. Please don't leave. Thanks for your patience, guys. I'm back. Pour myself a little more scotch. Yeah, I hear that, Scotty. You know, sometimes life comes at you fast and you just gotta roll with the punches, man. Okay, let's get back into it. $411 points isn't bad for the first run. Hopefully we can do a little bit better, because that's going to put us about on par to be in a similar score as last time. Well, I'm embarrassed to say, Scotty, I'm drinking Laudner's, which, you know what, for a bottom shelf scotch is not bad. I'm not going to throw too much shade at it. But my favorite scotch is, well, among my favorite scotches, I like McClellan's, which is their Islay is very peaty and smoky, but it's $30 a bottle, US dollars. I also like Johnny Walker Red, which is also smoky and peaty, but for the same amount of scotch I can get in Laudner's for $20, you're talking $50. And unfortunately, I play Entropia Universe. I'm not that rich. And what I mean by that is I could probably afford to drink it if I didn't play Entropia Universe. That, I'm conserving money for when I can go back to normal life and go and fight again. Because being a fencer is a lot of fun. Going out to the encampments, being a member of the SCA, it's a lot of fun. But the travel costs money. The food costs money. You know, it's not free. The events themselves are very inexpensive. Like, entry fees are usually not very expensive at all. I think the most expensive one I've been to was like $40, which for something of that nature is dirt cheap. And in most of the ones I've been to are 10 to 15 for the event itself. And oftentimes that includes camping. But there are a whole bunch of expenses that are involved. But I'm conserving money so that when we can do that again, I can go do those things. But scotch is my personal weakness. The Scots really know how to make whiskey. Like, Americans could have learned from the Scots, and we didn't. We decided to use corn to make whiskey. It's a travesty. Now I'm going to get a whole bunch of hate but from all of my bourbon lovers. Although I hear there is a they're making non-alcoholic whiskeys or simulated whiskeys. I am actually willing to see what those taste like. I do want to give them a shot. No pun intended, or maybe pun intended. Because the main reason I drink it is I like the flavor. I don't drink it for the alcohol. If I could get a non-alcoholic scotch, I drink nothing but non-alcoholic scotch and coffee all day long. And all of my Scottish ancestors are now rolling over in their collective graves. But I'm serious. I drink scotch for the flavor. And I do wish that there was a non-alcoholic alternative so I could get the experience of drinking scotch without the negative side effects, if you all know what I'm talking about. Oh, yep. Someone just left that was either Scottish or American bourbon lover. I'm kidding, of course. About the, yeah. Well, Scotty, I'm glad to see that you're in decent health. Hopefully things get better for you. You know, and hey, you need to talk, drop me a PM. Yeah, Mind Arc has been really nice to me. I honestly think it's because I took such a long hiatus. I went and played Fallout 76 for a while. Been hanging around with Lore Spade and his crew. It's a lot of fun. But I can't leave EU for too long. I will say that something that is threatening, or it's an up-and-coming game that's threatening Entropia Universe's throne when it comes to my time, is Virtueverse, which is also going to be real cash economy. I know that at least one or two of you are already familiar with this. I've got some videos on it. I'm really anxious to see how that game develops. Will I ever abandon Entropia Universe? Highly doubtful. I won't say never, because I have had some things happen recently that I thought would never happen. Highly doubtful is the term I will use. But it doesn't mean that I won't find other games to play as well. One RCE game I probably will never get into, probably, because again, never say never, is Second Life. Although, if I could find a niche there, I hear people make their whole living playing that game just like some people play this one and do the same thing. I'm not artistic. I'm really not. I hate to say it. I hate to admit it. You know, my specialty is working with numbers and money. It always has been. No, I can't say that. It has been for a long time. Because that's how I grew up. I grew up in grocery. When you live in an industry where you have a 1% profit margin, you got to be good with money in order to make it work. And then I moved into banking and insurance and finance, and I specialized in it, and that's what I'm good at. Unfortunately, it means I did that to the detriment of learning the arts. And Second Life is one of those games where you have to be good at the arts in order to make a lot of money at it, and I'm not. So, yeah, such is life. So Alex, you have to wait for the next early access to pop up on that one. We don't have a final date on that yet, but make sure you're paying attention to their Discord channel. Where are you going? Dude, come back here. Come back here so I can kill you. Yeah, Bayrock, it'll take a long time for it to really take, but I think that the different player experiences are what's going to sell Virtueverse. You don't play Virtueverse to replace Entropia Universe. You play Virtueverse to play a game that's more like World of Warcraft, but with real money. You know what I'm saying? The player experience is totally different. And I would have to agree with that statement as well, Bayrock. I do know that a veteran EU player went into the beta and he saw a player kiting and he thought it was an exploit. Like, we had a whole debate and had to... I think we ended up having one of the developers get on. Like, this player just did not understand kiting. For those players here who don't know what kiting is an act of where you attack a mob and you run away from it and you force it to chase you. And the idea is you stay out of the mob's range, attacking it only from time to time, slowly bringing its health down and killing it without getting hit. Usually you use it to take down mobs that, you know, in all respects you have no business trying to kill. And in fact, one of my Virtueverse videos has me kiting such a mob for like the last half of the half-hour video. But it is a legit technique. Hunters in World of Warcraft use it all the time. They use it on other players in PvP. But it's a much more active play style as opposed to EU. EU is a much more passive play style. You know, single and double button hits. It's more about understanding the mechanics of the game engine, whereas Virtueverse is much more understanding the mechanics of the fight. So I think it's a good mix of the two experiences. I really enjoyed it. Well, you just gotta, like I said, I do my best to be as efficient as possible without being overbearing on eco, because I think that if you overdo the eco thing, I think you actually hurt yourself. Just pay attention to that efficiency score. I have noticed that you make more after you cycle ammo. Come back here, dude. If you cycle a large amount of ammo, the chances that you're going to get a global are much higher, which is... Speaking of which, I don't think I've gotten a global tonight. Come on, Mindark. Okay, I guess I can't bitch. I got like 9 globals in my first run. But, and none of them were small. I think my smallest one was like 70 ped. That's, for, you know, for those of you not familiar with the game, that's $7 US dollars. Most of them were in the 150 to 160 range, so you're talking 15 to 16 US dollars. Which doesn't sound like a lot until you realize that, oh yeah, I'm playing a fucking video game. Oh, something good happened. How the hell did I make level 10 in sweat? Oh, you know what it is? The concentration. It's the Mind Force skill. So I made level 10 in Sweat Gatherer. That's actually kind of very amusing. I have to admit, Bayrock, I think you're correct. Converting shrapnel does wind up in better loot, and I think it's because Mindark is guaranteed a certain amount of return, and so they return that to you, because you're not trying to game the system, you're not trying to earn money off the back of Mindark. Just like if you're able to sell your mats at auction, your total return on investment is going to be a slightly larger because you're not trying to just sell everything to the TT. Which, to a certain extent, you can get away with selling to the TT, but to a certain extent, you can't. It all depends on what kind of mobs you're going after, what you're selling, yada, yada, yada. I think you get a bigger penalty if you're selling full TT items to the TT, especially if it's something like a weapon. Because you can easily sell full TT weapons to other players. You know, I'm currently sitting on like 3,000 Solomate Rubios because I need to spend an hour or two at Camp Icarus selling them to get them out. But I can sell them, instead of for 9 pek, I can sell them for 12 pek. Which doesn't sound like a lot, but I'm selling 20 of them. And it's also 150% markup, which is better markup than just about any other fucking weapon in this game. No, you're right. Chasing swirlies is not the way. Efficiency is the way. Understanding the way the loot pool works is the way. And I'm not going to bitch about my results so far because, I mean, they kind of speak for themselves. I could buy keys and get 260 ped worth of ammo out of this, reduced by the number of pills I get, and the occasional ring. Speaking of which, I have a spare Agelic ring. It's right here. Its total market value is, I think it's 7... We're going to go with the weekly. It's like 12 above. So it's like 22 ped. Someone feel free to make me an offer. I've used one for a long time. I've got a duplicate of it, which is why I'm selling it. I actually bought this one off auction a million years ago. I don't feel like auctioning it if there's a player that it actually watches my channel that needs it. So, make a reasonable offer, and we'll talk. I'd much rather flip it to a player that watches my channel than flip it to a player that doesn't. Thank you, Alex. Sorry for ignoring your PM before. I generally don't answer them while I'm recording, but I had the feeling it was probably someone who was watching. So thank you for that, and we'll keep going. Hey, Morgan. Increased regeneration by 30%, increased health by 12 points. Global, 57.65. You know, we've been talking about swirlies. There was the swirly. I've been wearing mine for quite some... Oh, and it's a right-hand ring. I thought they got rid of the handedness of rings, but I guess not. Eventually, I need to actually, like, dump the money into getting a higher level one. I will eventually. But it's definitely made me noticeably tankier. 12 health doesn't sound like a lot until you're riding the line. And then an extra 12 health can save your ass. I'm actually really surprised at my returns. I honestly think it's because I'm so close to the line. Like, I don't think I'm going to be able to do this for Halloween Mayhem. I'm going to have to jump up to category 4, and then my loot is going to just completely die because I'm at that sweet spot right now where my efficiency and my level matches the mob so well that I'm actually getting a better return than I normally would. But finding that sweet spot with each individual mob is extremely difficult. And oftentimes, because we don't have access to the formula that tells us when it's necessary, we end up not being able to hunt as efficiently as we otherwise could. Bayrock, isn't the Athenic ring a left-hand ring? They're also, I think they're a lot more expensive. I'll have to look into it because that would, a good evade buff would definitely be beneficial. Whoa, holy crap, second global. And that one was, I think that's over 100 ped. 108. 108. And that is my third of these pistols I've gotten out of Mayhem. Okay guys, now's the time when I plug the channel again. If you're new to the channel, welcome to Manor. Make sure you take a moment and subscribe down below. We're on the road to 13 million subscribers, one subscription at a time, so make sure you subscribe. Also considering going to patreon.com/JulianMcBain if you want to support my work. If you become a member, you get a copy of my ebook, The Modern Entropian, for download. Thanks, Paul. I appreciate it. Is that perfected? It is perfected. Unfortunately, I don't have the skills to use this gun. I actually need to take the time and sell them. Like, I could not use this gun to save my life. I would just be burning. That would be a travesty if I were to use this gun right now. It's like trying to learn how to shoot on an M1911. You don't use a work of art as a newbie. That's good to know, Bayrock. Thank you for letting me know that. Actually, I can't say that about the M1911 because the way it's designed was designed so that a person who didn't know what they were doing could shoot it rather easily. But for those of us who have a lot of experience firing them, it's just super comfortable. I think it's 8 plus 8. Oh wow, 173. Holy buckets. Maybe I just need to auction the 3 guns. That would be smart. You know, I need to be smart about this. But yeah, I have 3 of them. 2 from this Mayhem and 1 from a previous Mayhem. If anyone's specialized in pistols and can use a class 40 pistol, let's talk, man. I am always up to sell them to a player who can benefit from them, and I'd much rather sell it to a player who watches my channel than one who does not. Well, you don't even have to participate in the primary mayhem. Jump into practice, man. Go hunt moles. And I think that I think the loot pool in Mayhem is buffed. I seriously do. LP 70. Yeesh. Okay. Okay. Let's see. This one is at what? 73.28. Call it 115. Here it is, Morgan. 49.3. Keep in mind it's a pistol, so its recycle rate is insane. Actually, let's compare this to the weapon I'm using. Yeah, it's about twice what I'm doing now. So realistically, the DPS should be very, very similar. Which makes sense because I'm using a 35 class and this is a 40 class. But look at the difference in ammo burn. Even with that difference, it's using far less ammo. Well, relatively less ammo. So Morgan, if you're interested, drop me a PM. I've got 3 of them. Let's make a deal, man. I'm a salesman by trade. I'm always up for selling stuff. He's right, 91% efficiency. Admittedly, I wish I could use it. And I can't. Can you imagine amping that sucker? Dude, you clean house. You would clean house. You walk into a mob that you can, you know, deal that kind of damage to, which is roughly the level we're playing at in this Mayhem right now. Level 13, level 14 mulls. I think it's roughly similar on your Fifoids and Maphoids. If you were going to go challenge the Warlord, I think that this pistol would work. If you've got 90% efficiency, shit, throw an amp on that. Oh, you know what? That makes absolute sense, Bayrock. I didn't even think of that. And good luck finding an amp that can increase it over 91 anyway, because you're not going to find an amp with like a 92% efficiency. So, nope. Bayrock's got it right. Use it straight up. jammed. At least it's not raspberry jam. There's an obscure reference for you. What movie does that come from? Only one person would dare give me the raspberry. I'm not cutting down trees here, dude. Throw a fireball. Yeah, Barrick, no, once you said that, it made perfect sense. I wasn't thinking about it, and then you're like, hey, no, put the brakes on. I was like, oh yeah, that makes perfect sense. If I had to guess, I have about 50 shots left. That's one thing, is you really get used to realizing that your average shot takes about 1 to 2 peck per throw. And once you have that, you can really estimate what you're spending on every strike. And it gets more complicated because, like, I'm still dumping ammo in, or wow, pet into the amp. I'm dumping pet into the ammo. But if my ammo return is 1 for 1, I can negate that, which is actually slightly better than that. I just have to worry about amp burn and weapon burn. 2, 1, and it's dry. Wow, really? Whoops. Replace it, and hotkeys are hot. Yeah, Paul, but how much is it for those amps and laser sights? And we're talking high level stuff here. I'm not ragging on it, not by a long shot, but I recognize that it's not cheap. And I know in this game every percentage point counts, but how much money you're going to spend on getting that 2%? In the long run, it would eventually catch up. Holy buckets. Global 151.68. There we go. That's 3 for 3, folks. I'm glad I decided to go the second round. Thank you, everybody. I can't remember what I paid for my laser sight because I have the Hot Shot 2. Currently, it's only TT plus like 2, which is probably what I paid for it. It's a 35 ped sight. I also have an A103 that I use, but I haven't bought an LR20 in quite or LR25 in quite some time. I'm working more on Mind Force. I really should because I'm more efficient with it. But because of the higher dodge ability of Mulls, I've been focusing more on the Mind Force. Honestly, if I could keep this up and just like break even forever, I'd be on cloud 9. I'm not even in this to make a profit. I play EU because it's fucking relaxing. That's all I can ask out of life. See, I've honestly thought about spending the money to get the Barbarella for low-level hunting, because I believe with all of the stuff they give you for it, it becomes more efficient than Bookins. But I can't bring myself to spend the cash. With all the extra crap it gives you that I will not use, like, I won't use the armor. Why would I use that armor? It's not tradable, it's not usable, I can't bring myself to do it. And you get the car too, which I really don't. I would want it for the collector's value, but at the same time, I won't use it because I fly everywhere. And I tested against my Explorer, which thankfully no longer glows in the fucking dark, but I can't. And I made the mistake of offloading the Valkyrie to the TT terminal because I didn't know you could repair the damn thing. But I have a hard time. I just have a hard time. I do. And I know it ups the efficiency. Just like if I had plates, it would up a lot of my toughness. But I replaced that with the lifesteal. Because I have the melee amps. Which, if I had both, then I'd be ridiculously tanky. But I try to Death Knight everything. You know, I have the whatever skills that you could possibly translate to EU from World of Warcraft, I have tried to build around my avatar. I want lifesteal. I want tankiness. I want higher evade because there's no parry. It kind of correlates, you know what I'm saying? That's it, Bayrock. It's all about embracing the grind. It's just like real life. You know? Today I went to work and I ground shit out. I made something along the lines of 50 phone calls today at work. I'm a salesman, it's what I do. I come here and it's a different grind. But it's a satisfying grind. It's a relaxing grind. Honestly, I find this much more satisfying than the sales I do. Even though I know theoretically I'm losing ground over the long term, I'm losing ground playing the game. I find it more satisfying than the work grind. And I think it's the gamification that makes it work so well. Morgan, Alex, both things you have said are true. Yeah, Scotty, you absolutely nailed it. The platform is so diverse, it doesn't take... You don't need to, like, forcibly niche yourself. You know? Hang around and talk to folks, or watch videos on YouTube and go looking for fruit, or sweat something. The number of times I've watched Star Trek while sweating out in Club Royal, I can't even enumerate it. Yeah, Alex, that Russian sleep experiment was freaking wow. Yeah. I can't even. That was frightening. Not creepy, terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. If anyone wants to know what I'm pretty sure Alex is talking about, look up Soviet sleep experiments. They did some terrifying shit back in the day. And when you go for days on end without sleep, it will drive you insane, like literally insane. There comes a point where they can't save you. They can't save your life. I was horrified when I watched that. Like, the horrors of the 20th century, guys. The horrors that came under the Soviet Union and Maoist China. Like, I don't like talking politics, but it was just... There is nothing that Hollywood has produced that can match the horror of those two regimes. World War II Germany didn't even come close. And they did some pretty horrific shit. Oh no, Paul, this goes beyond insomnia. We're talking people who went weeks that weren't permitted to sleep. Okay, I don't want to have this video taken off of YouTube, so I won't go into details. And I know it's all out there on YouTube, which is a severe irony, but YouTube's been getting pretty authoritarian lately. Just go look it up. If there's anything that can encapsulate the horrors of the 20th century, it was the Soviet sleep experiment. Yes, Scotty, that is a true statement. The things humans have subjected each other to are absolutely horrific. And people think that they would never be able to do that. And really, if you think about it, it wouldn't take much. It wouldn't. History has proven that. Psychology has proven that. Circumstances just have to be correct for it. Yeah, we're not talking 2 to 3 days, Paul. We're talking 2 to 3 weeks. with no sleep. They weren't permitted to sleep for weeks, maybe months. It's been a while since I've watched it. Like, I've read Carl Jung. Carl Jung is terrifying, horrifying, because he took what Freud did and he really got into the human psyche. And what I read about the Soviet sleep experiences was so far beyond the pall. And the sad part is it could all happen again. You know, you laugh, Alex, but I don't know if you've paid attention lately. The world's gone absolutely insane. I wouldn't put it beyond anything at this point for that to be a thing. Hey, dude, come here. I want to kill you. Where are my there they are. $7.49. You know what? Not terrible. Could be better. But I'm not going to bitch because my loots are pretty good. Yeah. If I were to convert now, I'd be at 1,700 ammo. I'm not going to bitch at all. So yeah, we did pretty good. But now at this point, we're going to call it an evening, and we'll see you the next time. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Please like, share, and subscribe down below. We are on the road to 13 million subscribers, one subscription at a time, so make sure you subscribe. Also, please consider going to patreon.com/JulianMcBain if you'd like to support my work. It will provide me with the ability to continue making content. You get a copy of the Modern Entropian ebook. And I'm currently working on Personal Finance for Gamers. You will get a copy of that when it releases as well for being a member. With that, guys, I appreciate all of your support. And we will see you in the next one next Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Daylight Savings Time. Bye, all.